All right, guys, got a really awesome episode today. Excited to pull this one off. This was not an easy one to bring together, but I want to give a special thanks to everyone at kvar.com. I want to give everyone thanks in the studio. I have the one and only Ashley Rheuark from Team Glock. So this is awesome. It's been, you're the last of the big six to get on in terms of everyone from Team Glock, Team SIG. So I'm excited to have you, and we've been friends for a little while now, a few years. So tell me, let everybody know that really hasn't heard your story. How did it end up this way? How did you get to where you are?
It's wild, man. If somebody would have told me this is what I would be doing when I got out of school and everything, I'd been like, you're crazy. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's funny how things just work out. I had originally started hunting with my dad when I was, younger and a kid. And it was just something for me and him to do to, be out in the woods, have a good time. Something for us to do, father-daughter bonding, And back then the world was kind of starting to get, a little crazy. So he wanted to make sure that he had something to protect our family with. So this is a cool part that I love to tell people, because it's ironic that I work for Glock now. But the first handgun he ever bought was a Glock 19. He went into the store and some guys helped him out, and he bought a Glock 19. And because I was his hunting buddy and we'd always went out and did stuff together, he wanted me to learn about firearm safety from somebody who actually really knew what they were talking about, and he wanted me to get educated on firearms. So him and I both went to a basic pistol class, and we just kind of learned the ropes, did some shooting, learned a bunch of things, and we found out that they had shooting competitions in the area. And me and my dad were like, "What's this? This sounds pretty cool, right?" And we went out and just tried it. We were those people who just showed up. We were like, "I don't know what's going on, but this seems fun." And I stayed at like a steel challenge bay for like the whole day, and I just shot Smoke and Hope, and that was kind of my intro into competitive shooting. And so me and my dad were pretty extreme people. So when we found this, and we were like, well, let's go. So we started going to matches every weekend, started out in steel challenge and IDPA, and it honestly just started out me and him just having a great time and as a hobby. And it was cool to see it progress throughout the years as I started getting involved in USPSA and 3-gun. And just as the years progressed, I was like, well, this is really cool. I could really take this somewhere. So I started practicing harder, going to more major matches, stuff like that. So that was kind of like my intro into the world of competitive shooting, right?
Right. It's crazy. And, it's crazy because you've had such a meteoric rise for such a young age, and you're already talking about through the years, so it's kind of, it's kind of serendipitous. So what age did you exactly start, so people have a little bit of perspective?
So I really started attending matches, even just local matches, when I was probably 12, 13 years old. And I'm 21 now. So I've been doing this for a hot minute.
Yeah, it seems like forever, right? When you're doing that, but you made it onto Team Glock at, was it 18 years old, right?
18, 19, something like that.
How did that go down, and what was that moment like? Take me through that moment.
That was really crazy. I finished high school like a semester early, so I had some sponsors, and my dad was like, I had no idea what I wanted to do for school or college, and he was like, you know what, just take the year, practice and work on your shooting, see if something happens, right? So the year goes by, and then we're at SHOT Show. I forget what year it was, 2017 probably. We're at SHOT Show, and I knew a ton of the people that worked at Glock. I was friends with them. They had seen me grow up in the sport when I was a little youngin', and we're just talking, beatballing around, and me and my buddy Dion, we just kind of looked at each other, and somebody said something, and anyways, I had a meeting the next day. It was super weird. I had a meeting the next day at SHOT Show, and I think 2-3 weeks later I had a contract. So it was super cool how it all just kind of fell into place and worked out like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a wild ride. There's no doubt. I've watched, a lot of people come up in the sport, and yours was probably the most meteoric in many ways because, you start out in an unconventional route. winning backup gun, which is somewhat unconventional, right? You know, not everyone thinks, you know, I'll compete in backup gun, right? And then you start winning, obviously, some pretty heavy stuff very early on, 2016, 2017, and so on and so forth. And
right.
you get this opportunity. And for people out there, and I did this a little bit with Lena, it's really a rare opportunity to shoot for something like Team Glock, right? You know, when you think of the bigger players out there, it's really a unique opportunity. At what point, I know you touched on this when you were talking a second ago, at what point what was the exact moment when you were like, Dad, like we got something here?
It was weird. You know, I was kind of, shooting was my hobby as a kid. You know, I didn't do soccer in high school. I didn't do basketball, none of that stuff. I went out to the range and I practiced every day. Instead of being at school, you know, afterwards with a team, I was just at the range and I was practicing all the time. And I think the biggest thing was I just kind of started seeing results. I was putting in the work, I was putting in the time, and I started seeing my scores rise throughout the ranks, and I started seeing a steady increase throughout the years. And I think it was sometime in high school, I was probably a sophomore or junior, where things got really serious, where it was like, all right, it's time to really get serious about this. I was pretty serious from the beginning because, like I said, me and my dad we like to, you know, when we do something, we're all in. But it was right in the middle of high school. It started getting intense.
Did they think you were a weirdo because you shot?
Actually, a lot of the kids in my school, when they either found out about it or I told them, they were like, "That's super cool." It was a really supportive environment. I mean, they thought it was cool. They were like, they had no idea about it because, you know, not a lot of people do it. And I was the only one at my school who really did it. So they were super chill about it, actually.
That's good. It's always good to at least have a little internal support, especially,
yeah.
I was talking to, you know, Dakota Overland, and she was like, yeah, you know, we had to have a talk. There was a brief moment where there had to be a little bit of a chat. So I think everybody deals with it a little differently because it's definitely an unconventional sport in the sense that, you know, people see you leave school and you say, well, I do sports. And like, well, what do you do? I shoot. And I shoot. You have to there's that explanation. Some people need that explanation of like, well, it is a sport, right? And they don't really fully understand it or can't wrap their head around it.
Right.
Yeah. So along the way, you start, you know, really kicking it into high gear with Glock, and it kind of throws you into the limelight of the sport, right? I mean, I know it's not. Yeah. I know it's not NASCAR or Major League Baseball or the NFL, but it does throw you right out there into the limelight. Was it a rough adjustment?
It was interesting because I kind of joined Glock as like a babe into the adult world, so to speak. So I'm going to be honest with you, man. The year I joined Glock, I didn't know how to communicate. I was now in an adult environment where, you know, I was working for a corporate company. So I had to learn business very quickly. I had to learn how to, you know, it sounds small, but like respond to emails on a timely manner, you know, talk to these people, and just, it was really just like a life slap kind of to my face, you know, because I was going from, you know, a high school kid just doo-wopping around. It's like, all right, now I have a job and I'm in the real world. So it was an adjustment, I think, for me, because too, also it was now officially my job,
right.
You know, going out and training and winning titles and representing. I could now officially say that was my job. That's what paid the bills, you know?
Absolutely. And of course the travel's insane, you know, it obviously ratchets up the traveling, correct?
Oh yeah. The travel got amped up quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, that's hectic in and of itself. How do you travel? You know, what routines do you have that keep you sane with all the mileage?
It's crazy. So the year ended this year, and I took a couple months off after, you know, all the crazy travel. And I tell you, man, my apartment has never been cleaner than when I was actually home for a couple months. So
Right.
When you're traveling, it's just like you come home, you throw stuff in the washing machine, you literally put it right back in the suitcase. You know, you clean your gear. If you can make it out to the range once or twice that week to get in some practice, you know, that's good. But it's just, and it also kind of varies with the time of the year and how busy the year is as far as matches and stuff like that. But it's just, you kind of just take it in stride. You take it day by day, week by week. You know, you get what's the most necessary done. And then honestly, when I'm on the road, it's kind of a relief because that's that's all I have to focus on, you know, not have to worry about any of the stuff at home or, you know, trying to pay the bills or anything. It's just, I'm on the road, I'm at a match. I have one goal, one job. You know what I mean? So it kind of takes some of the pressure off when I'm actually on the road.
Now, along the way, you have this moment where you meet Lena. Now, you two have, and I talked about this on her show, you two have an insanely unique relationship. What's your interpretation of that meeting? Because I got hers. And how does it go for you? Because she said in the beginning there was this weird animosity between the two of you, that you were like kind of far apart, sitting in different aisles of the lunch line, so to speak. Then all of a sudden there was like this "we're gonna be friends" moment. How did that play out for you?
It was super weird. Yeah, no, we hated each other in the beginning. To put it bluntly, we were just, you know, I was kind of like the new kid on the block, and you know, she was the OG, and she was the one that was, you know, she was the one to beat. And I kind of just popped up on the scene, and we were both just kind of like, well, you know, like look at each other from across the lunchroom, like, who are you? What are you doing? And we were teaching a junior camp, I think, down in South Carolina. And we were there for like the weekend, and they had a bunch of different instructors there. And that was really my first time instructing. And so, you know, after all the instructing was over, you know, the day would end and everybody would hang out. You know, they have dinner, we'd run around the property, you know, just, you know, hang out. And I think it was there when we were kind of like, we just became friends because we realized this is stupid. What are we doing? Why do we had no valid reason for being like, I don't like you. So it was super weird in that sense. But then we just realized, hey, you're cool. I'm cool. Let's be friends. Like, we do the same thing for a living. Like, and then once we started to be friends, we became like the best of friends. So it was on
from there. It was Laverne and Shirley from that point on. Absolutely.
For sure.
It's crazy to watch. I've said it to you guys through the years, you know, us being all friends. I said, you know, you guys need your own show on YouTube or something. You guys would kill it. You'd absolutely crush the game because you guys have a really unique bond. But what I said to Lena, and I meant it, is you guys are just you being you. And that's what's so cool about it. You both have like insane ADD. You're all over the place. And it's just the both of you just kind of chilling, being who you are, right? You know, I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And that's what's fun.
It is. And honestly, I think that's the reason why, like I said, every time I go to shows now, I have so many people come up and they'll be like, you and Lena on Instagram, great. I saw you guys' YouTube video. I saw you guys on Instagram. We're like, I literally tell people, I'm like, thank you so much. We're literally just doing our goofy thing, being ourselves, and we just happen to get a story of it. You know what I mean?
It's crazy to watch, and it's so much fun. I think you guys are crazy not to have like a YouTube show or something, you know, or some type of podcast together. You guys really got to do that at some point, because you could crush it, and I think it would add another layer to your marketing and to the blending of what you guys do for sure. I don't think anybody would question that. So all this stuff starts happening. What's it like having Michelle and Shane on the team?
Oh, I love Michelle and Shane. They're straight up my homies. It's a fun dynamic whenever we, you know, all link up at the airport. We're landed at the place that we're supposed to go to a match. We'll get in the car and we just, you know, we talk about our lives and we just, you know, kind of bebop around and just, we give each other a hard time a lot, which I think is the best part. Nobody gets any slack in this team. We all keep each other on our toes. So we just goof off. We have a good time.
It's all such different personalities, right? Like, you know, Shane and Michelle and yourself. It is fun to see the dynamic between the three of you. It's really unique. And, you know, in many ways you look at other teams and they're all, and I don't want to name other companies, they're all pretty squared away, but the Glock team I feel has personality for days, right? You know? Oh yeah. You know, I feel like this is so much there. But it's kind of obviously serendipitous how it's worked out for you and in the team that you're with, and I think you're in the right place. And there was never someone added to a team, and you know, I could say the same about Daniel Horner in so many ways, but there was never someone added to a team that I feel like, okay, this makes all the sense in the world, and it's the right piece, right? And it just probably felt right being on that team.
Yeah, no, it was I'm super lucky to be a Glock. You know, they're a great company. They're one of the things that I picked up from the beginning is, you know, they take care of their people. You know, you're loyal to the brand. They take care of you, and I mean, it's one big family. Honestly, it's just one big family.
Where does it go from here for you?
You know, when I originally signed with Glock, I was like, no, I was young. It was only 3 years ago. It sounds weird to say, but like I was just, it was a great opportunity for me, and I thought it would work well, and I was like, cool, let's, you know, see what happens. And it's really taken off from there. And I'm just, the biggest thing right now, you know, is the world shoot this year. You know, we have the pistol world shoot, which is what, you know, it's my main jam, and that's what I've really been looking forward to. It's a chance. It's kind of like our Olympics, you know. It's the chance for us to perform our best as we can at the highest level, and that's the real big focus for myself and I think the team this year. So that's really what I'm trying to focus on. You know, the future is so uncertain. You know, I love my job and I love where I am, and I want to be here forever. You know what I mean? But you know, I'm taking it year by year, day by day. We're doing it. I'm out here trying to have a good time, do what I love, and to shoot and to represent, and trying to get this world title this year, man.
Yeah, I think that you'll get it, and I think that the future for you, and especially whatever you decide to do in media, and I said the same to Lena, as long as you continue to be yourself, I think some of the things that you're going to do are going to really break down a lot of the walls, because as we know, the gun industry and marketing and how, you know, it's put out there is obviously in the dark ages, right? Like we all know
right.
that. And there's a lot that has to change, and it's going to change on its own through things like you're doing naturally. I see Lena doing naturally, building these followings and building these fan bases. And I think as it evolves, and I talked about this with Shane and Max and everybody, you know, pro shooting at some point is going to have to make some level of an adjustment, right? Because, you know, I've said for a long time, they have to figure out a way to get the scores on the screen and make it more of a sport, right? And make it a sport that people can follow. And there's a lot that can be done there, but I think in the next 5 years, because of the way technology is improving, that a lot of these companies are going to have to take a hard look at how they do things. And, you know, I'm not going to name the name. I was at a very large known optics company, and I mentioned the words TikTok to them. And they looked at me like I had 10 heads, Ashley. They looked at me like I was crazy. They had no idea what I was talking about. And I was like, you guys don't know about that? You don't know that exists?
Right.
And I mentioned, you know, things like Google Play, Alexa, you know, different audio devices in the home. I mean, this is all like Chinese. And I think we're due for like a huge shift in how we do things and how things are approached. And I know Shane has a lot of thoughts on it. I know Max does. And I know a lot of the companies are looking at them fast. But it's coming no matter what, right? You know, you can't stop it.
Right.
So, you know, I think one of the things for you guys, because I've always been an advocate of you guys, and you guys get a huge disservice, is you guys should be the stars. And it's just a matter of figuring out the delivery vehicle for that, right? The media delivery vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think for sure. TikTok is blown up.
Huge.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
And I think what a lot of companies are realizing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you can't just hire some, you know, college flunky to run your social media and just be like, oh yeah, run our Instagram. Like, you can't do that stuff anymore. And you have to put people in charge of it, and you have to get you need a whole team around that stuff and how much work it really is. Cause like, you know, like Lena was saying, it's a lot of work, you know, setting up, you know, getting out there and creating content and creating media. And that's a job in and of itself.
Oh yeah. And especially because, I mean, you get on Instagram, and if something doesn't catch your eye, we scroll right through, never give it another thought. You know, running Instagram accounts and social media stuff like that, it's so cool to see how that has become a full-time job, and just how big of a take it's taken on the industry and just the world, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's just getting these brands to realize just how big of a monster it's all becoming, and creating the proper programming,
Right.
support, all those different things. It's not easy, and I'm sure there's conversations you have internally, and even with your own branding and media, right? Like where you want to go with it and how you want to take things, and that's a growing challenge. But today, it's changed the most last couple of years. You show up to a company or a brand, and you want to be like an ambassador or a shooter or whatever you want to be, and you say, "Geez, well, I have an Instagram." People are like, "Yeah, so."
Right?
You have to have your hands in so much more, right?
You do. You really do. Yeah.
Where do you think it's going?
You know, I can't say for certain. I think it's interesting to see how the younger market is kind of influencing it all, because, the younger generation, that's the future. And, this technology, all this Instagram, this TikTok, all these different things, that's our main gist. That's our channel. That's our thing. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how we take it, within the next 10 years, especially.
Yeah, I think a lot of the individuals like you, Lena, and Shane, a lot of people, Michelle, will push the boundaries. And then I think companies will have to take a look and be like, geez, we really got to look at this. Like we saw it with Facebook. We saw it with Instagram, obviously. And we're seeing it now with things like TikTok and podcasting and streaming. And companies are starting to take a look like this is something we really need to capitalize on. We need to look into. And, I think that's the way it's going to go. I think they're going to take a long look at the things a lot of their younger participants or shooters or ambassadors or influencers are doing, and they're going to say, we really need to look at that space. We're making a mistake by missing out on it, or we need to grow here, or we need to participate in this because we don't have access to conventional media, right? It's just one of those things.
Right.
We don't have the ability to do certain types of advertising. So we're kind of handicapped a little in that sense, right? So we have to keep finding new ways to grow on these platforms and develop these platforms without being censored or shut down or limited and shadow banned, whatever the term is. So I think a lot of that boundary pushing will come from the shooters themselves, from the participants themselves, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be about, taking all these things and these new ideas and these new things and just pushing it ahead. And, because we're all out here, to be honest. I mean, you get on your phone, we're looking to be entertained, whether we're listening to podcasts, we're watching videos. And I think companies taking that into consideration and how they can market the brand through that, I think that's going to be a big thing.
And I look at, everybody knows I'm a fan of energy drink companies. I'm a fan of like how Red Bull does things, Monster. I love debranding strategies. Like you tune into an episode or a show on Red Bull, you don't see a can of Red Bull. You just see like really cool stuff, people doing cool stuff. Obviously the branding is there, but it's what they call like a debranding strategy. And I think that's something that makes so much sense in the firearms world because we always want to make it about the gun. We get owners and we get people, managers, they're obsessed with the product. And I'm like, listen, the AR-15 platform, it's not that exciting, guys. We got to kind of like, look at how we can brand the brand in a way that's exciting. I feel like the personalities are far more exciting. We do a terrible job putting a voice behind the people in this industry.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you hit it right on the money. I mean, personalities, people, that's what people are, interested in.
That's to me is people want to hear the story. They want to hear Ashley's story. They want to hear Lena's story. They want to hear Jerry's story. They want to hear Shane's story. Like, I just feel like we've done such a bad job the last 10 or 15 years of getting that out there and getting it out there into spaces that people can consume it because it's the consuming that changes. We get Apple Watches, we get, Alexa in the house, we get these different things and we're consuming media differently. I mean, how many people even sit there and go to websites all day? It's very few. A lot of stuff's done on apps.
Yeah.
It's done in different, so it's the vehicle to which we consume it. I mean, and the next thing to go is going to be cable TV. I mean, it's slowly dwindling down to nothing. So it's going to come down to streaming, and that's where the battle will be fought and how open those borders will be for people to do media. And the reason I talk about this stuff so much with you is I just think you and Lena are totally poised to be two people that could totally take over some of the media spheres because you guys are so good naturally together that once you find your groove or do a show or do a podcast, do whatever, everybody's going to tune in. It's going to make all the sense in the world to me, at least in the way I see things. And that's when I think companies will be like, why didn't we do this sooner? Why weren't we on something like this sooner? And it's just a simple, it's a simple fix, right? So, I mean, is that something you've thought of?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely be interesting to see what we could do or where we could take it. Because we do bring a certain niche and interesting aspect to that side of things. So,
no.
We'll have to see,
Yeah, it'll be fun. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think you both will figure it out at some point, but I think you both have the ability to push the boundaries. That's the big thing because of how you transcend and how you can shapeshift, the environment, and people will follow you, right? So if you want to develop a new market, there's people that will follow the two of you. I want to shift gears now. The brand, you've been affiliated with Glock for so long. The brand is, everybody out there, tends to lean towards a Glock, right? So for a pistol, has it ever occurred to you that, you're in the best place, or is it just you truly have loved the product since day one? You mentioned it was the first thing you purchased. Is there ever a moment where you're like, God, this is just amazing, that I get to work for this brand? You said that how good they take care of you, and how involved do you get in the R&D process and development process?
Well, yeah, I think that's one of the cool things that I bring since I work there now is I have been a fan since day one. That was the first one. So it couldn't be in a better place. Couldn't be in a better place for sure. And I think about it all the time. I'm like, wow, I have like a 1 in a million job. This is pretty cool. How'd this happen? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's just, I'm still super blessed, super lucky.
Yeah. And do you get involved in the R&D process when they're launching a new product?
No, I do not. No.
Do you want to be?
Really.
Do you want to be more? Some people don't have any desire.
Can you say it again? Say it again. Sorry.
Like, do you want to be in the development of new pistols, or at what point in the testing do you get involved? I mean, some people don't.
It's something I've thought about.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's something I've thought about. It's something that, I mean, it's not really my niche right now, but I thought it would be cool, to,
right,
kind of get involved with that. Once I find, somewhere where I feel passionate, like a certain type of pistol that we could develop or something like that.
Yeah, like some people like working on cars. I have no desire to work on cars. Like you know what I mean? Right. It just depends. Like some people just like driving them. They're like, I like to push the gas and it goes. And that's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, I don't have any desire to do that. Like, people will say change your own brakes. I'm like, no, I don't want to. So, some people,
exactly,
it makes total sense. Like they don't have a lot of desire to do that. Like, I can't tell you the last time I took the time to clean a gun, and go through that process. It's just, I'd rather just like get a new one and throw that one in a pile or something. Like I just don't. Yeah.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, so for some people, they really enjoy that. It's therapeutic for them. Or they have a moment, For me, there's no moment. Like I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. But when you're not, shooting Glock, what are you shooting?
More Glocks.
Good.
more Glocks on Glocks on Glocks.
I mean, do you ever like want to shoot ARs or lever action, of course, or anything different?
This is actually the year that I'm totally focusing on just pistol stuff. Like I was talking about with the World Shoot.
Yeah.
Coming up at the end of the year, it's just that's my main focus right now. And I think it's I did a lot of different things growing up. I did different sports within shooting, so IDPA, USPSA, 3-gun, still challenge. So I was bouncing around between stuff all the time. So I'm really excited to just kind of focus on this year. It kind of simplifies things and allows me to perfect that craft more so. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
Instead of bouncing around so much. Yeah.
So here's the big question. I asked Shane this. I asked Michelle this.
All right.
There's a zombie invasion.
Oh, okay. All right.
You can only have one Glock. What do you grab?
Okay. the 18, the Glock 18, or full auto.
You can't shoot. That's cheating. You cheated.
Come on, man. No, that's a Glock.
You can't have what no one else has access. You can only grab one Glock and run.
I don't have access to it, but if I could find one, if we just one. All right, so not 18, then I would get my 34. I would get my competition gun, and that's what I'm most comfortable with. It'll get the job done. I'm familiar with it.
And
the zombies better watch out.
Yeah, Shane went from that to the chainsaw immediately. It was like
a chainsaw.
And a chainsaw. So Lena's zombies only died with headshots. How do your zombies die? Do you have to burn them? How do they die?
They look into my eyeballs and they instantly just fall down. That's how it is.
They melt.
They melt and disintegrate.
They melt immediately on contact. So we tackled the zombie invasion question. I have another question. So you travel around. Michelle's given me this. I've gotten this from Lena. So Lena brought up the feet thing, how she's on some foot website, some foot fetish website. I didn't know about this. So it's Wiki Feet, I think she called it, Wiki Feet. Have you ever, now tell me your two different stories. What's the creepiest encounter you've had on the road with somebody? And what's the craziest DM you've ever received?
So I'm actually right now, I'm getting DMs for, this is not so much creepy. It's just weird and it doesn't stop. Somebody from somewhere on Facebook keeps sending me long pictures like of coats, just different types of jackets. I don't get it. And I don't even read them. I don't even know what it's about. But like every few days I get pictures of jackets and coats. And I don't understand it. It's like, it blows my mind. That's super weird. On the road, I can't, honestly, you would probably have to be at a show, that I've encountered something weird. I can't put my finger on it, but it's just, somebody will come up to the booth and bless their heart. Glock has their table, right? Mm-hmm. And they'll lean up on the table and they'll get real close and they'll look into my eyes. It's just like, a matter of personal safety. Not hardly anybody gets that close, but I remember a couple times I've had a couple people that'll come up and they'll just get real close. And if I'll go to shake their hands, they'll just hold my hand, and I'm like, no, we don't know each other that well. Don't just hold it.
The long hand holders. Oh God.
Yeah, I don't like it, man. It makes me itch. I don't like it.
Now, do you ever get the clothing requests?
The clothing requests?
Yeah, like the used clothing.
No, I haven't. Mm-mm.
Because I have a theory. I was talking to Kendall Jones, the hunter, about this, and Michelle about this. I'm like, if these women that get the clothing requests, like used shirts and like used socks or whatever, I said this to Lena, I'm like, you guys should create like a web page, like a menu. And on that menu, you should be able, like, people should be able to buy those things, and the money goes like 100% to charity. I'm like, the first woman that does that's a genius. Like, she'll be rich. Like, that's the smartest thing ever. But for some reason, clothes are always a big one. When people slide into the DM inappropriately, like, they want used clothes, and I can't understand the used clothes thing. It doesn't make sense to me. But I feel like we can capitalize on it and raise money for like blind kids or something. Something.
Yeah, turn it into something.
Yeah, it can go into something, and we can make something cool out of it. But that's crazy. Yeah, the close leaners or the mouth breathers or the really violation of personal space people, and they're all good people. Yeah. It's just you get those people that they meet you and they're just kind of like in awe, right? Like they follow you. They track everything that you do. It's kind of creepy, but at the same time, you're out there and this is the only sport like NASCAR where people have that immediate access at the shows and at the events, you know what I mean, to people. Right. So you kind of put yourself out there and you get everybody, and their mother. But it's fun, and sometimes, like they don't know, you're just a normal person. Like, you're just kind of like, hey, like I go home and have cereal like everybody else, right?
Yeah, for real. I haven't made it on the Wiki Feet page yet, so I'm a little relieved and disappointed. So
I'm gonna have to, yeah, Lena like really blew my mind with that one. She was the first to mention the Wiki Feet. I've heard of jail mail. I've heard of everything. Obviously nudes. Everybody sends the nudes, and then there's like the wiki feet, and now the dirty clothes is the big one now. I hear from everybody for whatever reason. Slide into the DM and trying to solicit dirty clothing. I got to get to the bottom of this. There is a way we can make, like Kendall Jones and her manager were like super intrigued. They were like, we can capitalize on this. You know, there's something there for sure. But I think that, you know, I don't envy a lot of the ladies in this business because of course you guys deal with like constant harassment and nonsense, but it's not easy. And then you're out there and you have to face everyone at the shows, and that doesn't make it any easier, of course. But at least you're with a good brand and you're not up there alone. You have quite a few people to support you and help you. So it makes it, you know, a lot simpler. Do you ever get, you know, kind of dizzy, like you just need a break sometimes in the midst of all the shows and the travel and everything else?
It's kind of crazy. You know, the shows, I really like the shows because I think it gives us a unique opportunity to really connect with the people who are out there buying the product and that like the brand and that, you know, connect with that aspect of it. So it's really, I think it's interesting to think about how we really get to connect with all those people that show up. So, I mean, I like the shows and stuff like that. So it gives us a unique opportunity into all of it. But yeah, no, the travel, it all can be kind of a whirlwind. You know, it depends on each year. You know what kind of travel schedule and match schedule, who schedule what matches, and who, you know, what the dates are. So it can get really overwhelming sometimes. I know our fall season or session or whatever, it tends to get busy, and you know we've been shooting for at that point 6, 7, 8 months, and you know we got nationals and big matches coming up around the corner, and it just kind of like makes your head spin. And the thing I do is I just dive into the work, because, you know, if I stop and take a breath, then I'm going to be like, wow, I am busy. You know what I mean? So just kind of keep pushing through. And then, you know, we take some time towards the end of the year to kind of have a break, and you realize just how busy you were. It's crazy.
When you're not shooting, what are you doing?
So that's actually something I used to not be able to answer, but I started taking the time to try and actually find hobbies, because I used to just work all the time nonstop. But I don't know if you know this, I have a dog. I don't talk about her much, but Opal. So I spend time with her, and we go out and we go hiking and we go walk around. I hang out with my friends. I like to read. I'm really into reading right now. It's a hobby I picked up. I have a mountain bike. I've ridden 3 times, and it's dirty and I need to clean it. But as soon as I do, I'm going to get back on that. So just a bunch of different things, you know, nothing too committed or too intense to qualify as like a hobby, I guess. But I do a lot of different things and just try and, you know, keep it fresh, you know, keep me on my toes. You
brought up the dog. Now, recently you were involved in a little bit of a dog gate. What happened?
Oh my gosh. Oh, so it was so crazy. It was Sunday morning. I was on my way to a match, and I was in the middle of nowhere next to a lake, and I see this dog, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'd been itching the last few weeks. I've kind of been wanting a new dog, but I'd also kind of been like, you know, what am I going to do if I see a dog on the side of the road? And I saw this dog, and it looked absolutely pathetic. It was the skinniest thing I've ever seen. And honestly, it looked a lot like my dog now. So I saw like its face and was like, all right, we're pulling over. So I was like, forget the match. This dog needs some help. So I got out of the car, and, you know, I was a little unsure. You know, I never done this, and also didn't know how the dogs are going to respond. So it was a young black and white pit bull. And I came out and I called him, and I kid you not, the thing came right up to me, sat down, wanted me to pet its belly. Super nice. He looks really rough. He smelled, looked like he hadn't been fed in forever. And it was Sunday, so none of the humane societies were open, none of the animal shelters. I didn't know what to do, so I called Lena. She was right behind me, like 10 minutes or so. She helped me get him in the car. Actually, a guy that was headed to the match passed me, stopped, helped me get him in the car, and then the dog escaped. And then Lena came back, and we got him back in the car. But about 5 minutes down the road, the place that I actually boarded my dog was opening in about 20 minutes. So I just killed a little bit of time, and I showed up, and I was like, I need help. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I was going to do with this dog because I had to think about my dog. I couldn't bring him into my home with my dog right then. So luckily, they took him in. They were having a slow day, so they put him in like an enclosed area, and they really saved my butt and helped me out. So for the next couple of days, they were like, "We'll hang on to him. Look for a home." And I couldn't find a home. I contacted every Facebook page I found. I called so many people. I think you saw even Jerry Meteoric posted about this dog. So this dog is out there, and we're trying to find him a home. I picked him up a couple days after he had been held. And they were like, we don't want this dog to go to a pound because he was just so nice. Like, it was the nicest dog ever. He loves people. And they just, he kind of stole their hearts. And I was like, they were like, if you can get him a shot, we can kind of help foster him until we can find him a home. And I was like, done. So we went straight to the vet. We got him a shot. He's still there. He's doing amazing. He's doing good with other dogs and all the people. So we're trying to find him a home now, honestly.
You still haven't found that thing a home?
No, I'm talking to a couple people. Actually, it's funny. Everybody who wants him lives up north, so I may be making quite a drive. So we're working on it.
That'd be an amazing.
Gotta get this pup a home.
An amazing story to document if you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's
for real.
But they should at least meet you halfway.
I was thinking about that too. If it works out, we're gonna have to coordinate. How to, maybe we can meet in the middle.
I mean, there's definitely, you got to keep me posted on what happens with Doggate. We're gonna have to get to the bottom of this. But if worse comes to worse, just bring him down to Georgia next time you go to Glock and just leave him. Be like, we're gonna name him Glock and just leave him there. We're gonna name him
Glock. This is the official. It's kind of funny. I came late into this conversation, but between Shane and Michelle, they both have dogs, and they were like, my dog's the official dog of Team Glock, just kind of beat bopping around. And I came in with my dog, like, I don't know, a year or two after this joke had died, and I made a post on Instagram. I was like, this is my dog, official dog of Team Glock. Just kind of, I put in a comment, and they were like, you're so late to this. So we kind of have a running joke. It doesn't really run anymore. It's pretty dead, but that's kind of, we were just joking about how whose dog is the official dog of Team Glock. Maybe we get a neutral dog. It's neither of ours. So.
Yeah, you have to get a neutral dog because the dogs are very territorial, and I think it needs its own. I think it needs its own, zip code down there in Georgia. So it's gonna, for real, and it needs a Glock raincoat and boots and the whole nine. And it can be like a vest, like some type of tactical Glock vest or something, along those lines.
That'd be cool.
That'd be super cool. And then it should come to the show and sign autographs, like just its paw, like in ink, like boom.
I've been wanting a puppy section at the show forever.
Yeah, I think we
can. And by forever, I mean it's the 3 years that I've been here.
I think we can make that happen. I think that's something we can push for because now pretty much dogs are so accepted. Like you can take them to dinner with you. You can do anything. Nobody questions anything. Like, no, it's my dog. Like, that's it.
Everybody loves dogs.
That's it. So let everybody know where they can find you and how the best way to contact you, and let everybody know what you're getting into in the next couple months and where you'll be.
All right. So best way to contact me is through Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I'm active on there a lot. Facebook, I'm not on it as much, but you can still get in touch with me. I have an email button on my Instagram account. So if you really need to get the message across, because sometimes they get lost in my inbox, you can email me there. This year I'm chugging along, shooting a ton of pistol matches. The team's focused on the world shoot at the end of the year. So we're going to be training very hard throughout, incorporating some new things to try and to get really serious about the year. And I'm excited. I think it's going to be a fun time. We're all going to have a blast. I know it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big year. I think for some reason I just feel it in the air with the election and everything going on. I think this year is going to be unique. I think from a media perspective, I think from a life perspective, because I think a lot of companies are going to have to adjust if we have 4 more years to the new normal. And I think you're going to also have an insanely competitive environment. Everybody seems really charged. It's the first year in a while SHOT Show's really settled down. A lot of the weirdos have kind of, balanced out of it. And, I think NRA is going to be interesting. I think we'll get a good understanding of where the market's at and where things are going. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward
For
to
sure.
it. Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. So I think, listen, you don't need to hear it from me. I think you're going to do great things. I think you're going to crush it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see your progression as time goes on. And there's no question the flavor that you and Lena bring to the table and the things that you guys are doing and just the realness of your attitude and your approach to things. And it's hard for me to put the energy into perspective, but you guys have something really unique. And I think you're going to crush it with everything you're doing because you just keep getting better. And I think you're going to continue to get better. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch over the next few months, the progression and just where things go over the years for you.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm excited. We're just trying to have a good time out here and just work really hard.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Believe it or not, we went for almost 50 minutes, so I really appreciate you taking.
What?
Yeah, no, I mean,
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I really appreciate you taking the time and telling a little bit of your story. And I hope people do reach out if you guys have any opportunities for Ashley, or you doing any training, any private training or anything.
No, I'm not right now. I don't have anything on the books right now.
All right. Well, you got to get into that. I'm sure people would. But yeah,
right.
Definitely. If anybody out there has any questions, I know she's super gracious online about getting back to folks if there's anything. So hopefully, things hit it off for you and Glock does phenomenal. And I'm looking forward to the next few months.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, man. Thanks, John. I appreciate you having me on here.
I appreciate you too. I want to thank everyone in the studio. Thank everyone at kvar.com. And of course, Ashley Rheuark.